Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into a topic that's been a geopolitical puzzle for decades, the island of Cyprus. It's a story of division, international politics, and the ongoing search for a lasting peace. Recently, there have been some significant developments that could signal a shift, or perhaps a hardening, of positions. Let's break it down. So, what's the core of the issue? Cyprus, a beautiful island in the eastern Mediterranean, has been divided since 1974. A coup backed by Greece's then-ruling military junta prompted a military intervention from Turkey. The result was the partition of the island. In the south, we have the internationally recognized Republic of Cyprus, which is a member of the European Union. In the north, there's the Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus, or TRNC, which is only recognized by Turkey. For years, the international community, led by the United Nations, has been trying to broker a deal to reunify the island, usually under a bizonal bicommunal federation model. This basically means one country, with two largely autonomous zones for the Greek Cypriot and Turkish Cypriot communities. But here's where things get interesting. Recently, Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdoğan has been very vocal about his preferred solution. And it's not the federal model that's been on the table for so long. He's been pushing for a two-state solution. This would mean formally recognizing two separate, independent countries on the island of Cyprus. This is a major departure from the long-standing UN framework. This stance was recently highlighted during a meeting in Ankara between President Erdoğan and Tufan Erhürman, the newly elected leader of the Turkish Cypriots. Now, Erhürman's election is itself a key part of this story. He has previously indicated a willingness to explore a federal solution, which puts him in a slightly different position than his predecessor, and potentially at odds with Ankara's current hardline stance. During their meeting, Erdoğan was quoted as saying that the two-state solution is the most realistic option for Cyprus. He emphasized that the decades of negotiations for a federal model have failed to produce results, and that it's time to consider a new path. From Turkey's perspective, they argue that the Turkish Cypriot community has been isolated and treated unfairly for too long. They believe that establishing a separate, sovereign state would guarantee their rights and security. Ankara has repeatedly stated that they will not accept what they see as the Greek Cypriot side, trying to dominate the island, and relegate Turkish Cypriots to a minority status within a unified state. So, what's driving this push for a two-state solution now? There are several factors at play. First, there's a deep-seated frustration with the negotiation process. The last major attempt at reunification talks, held in Crans-Montana, Switzerland, in 2017, collapsed without an agreement. Since then, there's been a lot of finger-pointing, with each side blaming the other for the failure. Turkey and the Turkish Cypriots argue that the Greek Cypriot side is unwilling to share power equitably. Another huge factor is the discovery of natural gas reserves in the eastern Mediterranean. This has really raised the stakes. The Republic of Cyprus has been moving forward with its exploration and drilling plans, signing deals with international energy companies. Turkey, however, strongly objects to this. They argue that the resources around the island belong to both communities and that the Turkish Cypriots are being illegally excluded from the profits. Turkey has even sent its own drill ships to the area, escorted by naval vessels, leading to major tensions with Cyprus, Greece, and the wider European Union. For Turkey, a two-state solution would give the TRNC clear maritime boundaries and a legal basis to claim its share of these valuable energy resources. The international community, however, is largely united in its opposition to a two-state solution. The United Nations, the European Union, and the United States have all consistently supported a bizonal, bicommunal federation. They see this as the only viable path to a comprehensive and lasting settlement that aligns with international law and UN Security Council resolutions. They worry that recognizing a separate state in the north would set a dangerous precedent for other breakaway regions around the world and would further destabilize an already volatile region. The Republic of Cyprus, a full EU member, vehemently opposes any talk of partition, viewing it as a legitimization of the 1974 military action and a permanent division of their country. This brings us back to the new Turkish Cypriot leader, Tufan Erhürman. He's in a very delicate position. On one hand, he needs to maintain a strong relationship with Turkey, which provides essential economic, political, and military support to northern Cyprus. He can't simply ignore President Erdoğan's very clear position. On the other hand, his own platform has suggested more flexibility and a return to negotiations for a federal solution. He has to navigate the expectations of his own people, many of whom are tired of the status quo and the international isolation it brings. Many Turkish Cypriots want the benefits of being part of the EU, which would likely come with a federal settlement. So, what happens next? All eyes are on the United Nations. The UN Secretary-General has a special envoy for Cyprus, who is constantly trying to find common ground to restart formal talks. The challenge is immense. Can they bridge the gap between the Greek Cypriot side's insistence on a federation and Turkey's increasingly firm demand for a two-state solution? Before any meaningful negotiations can even begin, the parties need to agree on what they're actually negotiating about. The position of other major players is also critical. Greece, as the other guarantor power alongside Turkey and the United Kingdom, staunchly supports the Republic of Cyprus and the federal model. The United Kingdom, the former colonial ruler, also supports the UN-led process. The European Union has a lot of leverage, especially economic, but it has so far been unable to use it to force a breakthrough. The EU has condemned Turkey's actions in the eastern Mediterranean and has imposed some sanctions. But this has mostly led to a war of words rather than a change in policy. The situation in Cyprus is a microcosm of wider regional rivalries. It involves Turkey's relationship with the EU, its rivalry with Greece, the global competition for energy resources, and fundamental questions of sovereignty and international law. President Erdoğan's push for a two-state solution is a bold, and many would say risky, move. It's a declaration that the old way of doing things is over, and that Turkey is ready to forge a new reality on the island, with or without the international community's blessing. For the people of Cyprus, both Greek and Turkish Cypriots, the future remains uncertain. Generations have grown up on a divided island. While many older Cypriots remember a time when the communities lived together, younger generations have little to no contact with people from the other side. There are many civil society groups on both sides working to build bridges and promote reconciliation, but they face an uphill battle against the political stalemate. In conclusion, the Cyprus problem is at a critical crossroads. Turkey's firm stance on a two-state solution, contrasted with the international consensus on a federal model, creates a fundamental deadlock. The discovery of natural gas has added a volatile economic dimension to the long-standing political dispute, and caught in the middle are the people of Cyprus, whose hopes for a peaceful and prosperous future hang in the balance. We'll be keeping a close eye on this situation as it develops. It's a complex issue with no easy answers, but understanding the different perspectives is the first step. What do you think? Is a two-state solution a realistic path forward, or is it a dead end? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching, and if you found this breakdown helpful, be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more deep dives into global affairs. See you next time.